righty. Welcome to unannounced, very random special episode of the Hot Dog Stand podcast group here. We've got Mr. Brian McCann, Brian Rick, and Neil Quick here. Thank you for joining me, guys. We had a highly drama-filled beginning to the Las Vegas playoff race today, and I just want to touch bases on it. I want to get everybody's opinion on what they think. Maybe get a little banter back and forth. We'll see. My cat jumped in here. So what we've got on tap for today is Bubba Wallace getting in his feel goods, and I mean that's just what I'm going to call it. I mean it is what it is, right? But I'm going to call him Bubba the Bully. So that's my stand. There we go. All right. Actually, real quick, I'm going to show the viewers a quick clip of what was going on and see what they think too. I want to get some feedback from the viewers as well. Hopefully.
Big battle off of turn 4 here.
And into the wall goes Bubba Wallace. And he comes back across the track, tags the 5. They're both in the wall. The caution comes out.
Flips the 20 car of Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell hard into the outside wall.
All right, so there we just saw it. Larson runs Bell up through out of 4. And Brian, Rick, you actually pointed out earlier before we started recording that there was actually a good gap between the two cars, and Bubba just ran himself into the wall and took it out on Kyle Larson, as we'll see here later. And then, of course, he retaliates, hooks. I mean, just straight up hooks Larson.
I mean, Larson went into the corner. Did he go in hot? Yeah, he went in hot. I'm looking at the picture. There's probably 3 foot between him and Bubba. And then there's probably another, 2-3 foot between Bubba and the wall. So, Bubba, you got to get better on your skills, brother.
Yeah,
Neil.
Neil, you were very vocal earlier in our conversations, and I really want to hear what that little brain's got going on up there about this whole situation.
As you notice, you look around here, guys, I got the biggest head right here, and there's a lot of shit about to ready to come out of it, okay?
Lay it on us.
I mean, I'm going to speak for all 4 of us, and probably none of your guys the same opinions, but I'm going to say what a shit show this really was today. I mean, if you want some WWE NASCAR entertainment, you got it today.
Yep.
NASCAR selling what they sold. They sold us Bubba, and this is what we got. I mean, if I'm Bubba right now, I'm probably pounding my chest because I got so much attention and I think I'm a badass. But
he pushed around a little bitty guy, so he's not a badass. That's my
opinion. Well, my opinion is we're talking about stock car drivers and guys that can race cars.
Right.
And I mean, looking at this and time after time with you guys and discussing this and watching what's going on in Twitter world out there, and I agree 100% with Brian on this deal. That Bubba got pushed up the track, yes, it was a racing move. Did Larson go up and intentionally hit him in the left rear, put him in the wall? No, he gave him room. Larson said that. He spoke the fact on it. Bubba just got hot because he didn't agree with the move. It happens a lot. I've been there. Everybody's been in that situation where they're on the highway and somebody pushes them in a situation. They want to give them the pit maneuver and put them in the ditch. But in this case, you're a professional race car driver at the top level of stock car racing. This is shit you see on a Saturday night that usually gets you slapped and maybe escorted out by the police. I mean, this is something that you don't have millions of dollars of sponsors. I mean, these teams running $20-30 million teams, Michael Jordan, Nike, McDonald's, all the people that are involved in this situation, and putting on a show like what you did today.
You don't get run up the racetrack and then turn your car left and take out another competitor. Not with these current race cars.
Well,
really, no race car, but with these guys getting hurt the way they're getting hurt and concussions, you don't use your race car as a weapon, and that's what he did.
He did.
Somebody say weapon.
Yeah, we're not talking about your driving for this past week or the week before or even the week before that. So, I mean, that's a whole other episode and maybe times 2. So, my thing is again, when I'm talking about these sponsors between McDonald's and so on, Toyota, the manufacturer that you're driving for, you take and you turn a guy, you put him door side against the wall at one of the fastest parts of the track. By the way, you take out one of your leading manufacturers that you drive for, drivers. I'm going to say, man, I'm going to tell you, Bubba is one of those drivers that you want to try to like, and right now, he's done nothing for me to like him.
I've tried to like him. I mean, you know, and I'm just going back to the picture again, and you know, I'm looking at the picture. Larson's car is turned left into the corner. His nose is pointed down the racetrack. Bubba's nose is pointed towards the fence. So I don't know. Gosh darn it!
I mean, if you go back and watch the replay, Larson comes out of 2, and he states it. Harvick saw it. I mean, Harvick was smart enough to see it to back off of it. I mean, Larson's got this run of all runs coming down the back straightaway, and he's trying to clear 2 cars getting into 3. And he said that in his interview. He goes, I had a strong enough run. And again, NASCAR, this is the product you got with these new cars, the power package, the downforce package. What you have is this type of racing. They all say, and Bubba's very adamant in his interview today when he let us know that his steering was broken, that I don't lift. Well, no shit, guys. Nobody.
He should lift. He should have lifted.
Yeah, he should have.
He should have lifted right there. I mean, that was so stupid on his part. I mean, you want to
save 3 cars. I mean, we would have had 3 cars that would at least went farther in the race.
Absolutely. I want to hear from McCann. What you say, brother?
So when I think about it, when I look at it, I put myself in their shoes and apply what I've learned over the years and try to picture what they're picturing in their mind. And when I'm thinking about Larson, you know, I'm going in that turn, I'm going in hot. I know I'm going in hot, right? And that's pretty much what I would do myself. I would go in hot, and I know there's a guy on the outside of me. And when I'm driving, everything's an object. I don't go by names. I don't think of who that person is. It's just an object.
Yep.
So I'm going in that turn. I know somebody's up there. I know if I drift up into them or get in their way or mess up their line or something, I'm going to make them mad and they could retaliate. I don't think Larson went in hot enough, like you were saying. I think there was enough room there. It wasn't a lot, but I don't think he was doing anything intentional. I think he was just trying to run his line, run his momentum, and get off that turn with what he had.
And he made that. He made that turn. He made that. He made his move, and he made the turn. What Bubba Wallace didn't do was maneuver Kyle Larson's move. He didn't position his race car correctly in that situation, and it's his fault, man. And then go down there and you want to push him around like you're a bully. I lost a ton of respect for him today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, I same thing that Brian's saying. I mean, you can watch this video over and over and dissect it, but Kyle did have a run, made a good move, and he stated he was pushing up the track. He gave room, which I think that was enough to still pull the pass off, or for Bubba to get the momentum still to come off the corner with the lead.
100%.
I think if you look at the deal, Bubba sees out of the corner of his eyes that car a half car length or the nose hanging out in front of him coming up the hill. And he's at this point, it's a trigger point for him. Hey, I'm going to try to pinch him down. I'm going to try to hold him down. If he would have just moved up maybe half a car length and gave a different angle coming off the corner, there's no accident. There still shouldn't have been an accident.
Yeah.
I think his lack of talent showed. Well, maybe that's his embarrassment, and maybe that's where his temper decided to come and play and cause the issue of what he did there. I mean, there has to be some embarrassment somewhere on this part. I would have been embarrassed.
He said it. So Bubba said it right in his interview. He says, "I'm not used to running up front, and I never lift." Well, if you're not used to running up front,
when your option is either hitting the wall or lifting, I'm lifting.
I'm lifting all day.
You might be forced in that situation, and that sucks as a driver. I've been in that situation. We all have, right? Yep. But when your option is hit the wall or lift,
you better lift. I mean,
right.
it's
especially when it's that early in the race.
What are you trying to prove by not lifting? I mean, it's just
I think the dumbass comment that he made, maybe he'll be selling T-shirts on Monday like Harvick did for the Happy Auto Parts or Crappy Parts shirts.
Crappy Parts,
yeah, there's going to be Bubba Wallace I don't lift T-shirts going on sale tomorrow on his website.
Yeah. He's lucky he didn't he's lucky he didn't catch a helmet with his teeth is what he should be only thinking about right now.
We'll get to that point here in a minute.
Yeah.
Before that, hold on a second. Hang on a second. Before that, did you see his ass coming down the track in his suit?
I mean, that should be, you should be kicked out for that in itself.
Well, I mean that too, and I mean I'm an old fat guy coming at you this way. I mean this boy needs to lay off the McDonald's cheeseburgers.
Yeah, man, he ate too many French fries. This thing was about ready to bust.
Yeah,
not the air, just brain.
So and my thought about it is here we have these situations with the cars being to driver standards unsafe, and here you're gonna go and you're gonna hook a guy, and then
at 100 and how fast?
Oh, I don't even know what they were doing. At least $160, $170,
$160, 170.
And so here you're gonna hook that guy, not knowing which corner the car is gonna hit or what he's gonna hit or how hard he's gonna hit, and then unintentionally you collect Christopher Bell and potentially hurt him or anyone else that's coming up from behind. There was no thought. The only thought was fuck the guy and I'm going to hit him.
Yep. If Larson would have backed that into after he took him out, after Bubba took him out, and if Larson would have backed into the fence like Kurt Busch, what was it, Bowman? If he would have backed into the wall, we'd be talking about something different right now.
Oh yeah,
you'd have another guy on the sidelines. So
I don't think NASCAR is going to take it lightly on this situation, on just that incident of him hooking him. I think NASCAR is going to come down pretty hard on that.
Well, I think there's 3 incidences within this whole piece of drama that he should just go home and think about it for probably 3-4 races.
Yeah. And
well, I mean,
go ahead.
The guy hooks somebody down the straightaway, okay? And in his interview, well, my steering broke. Well, that's just CYA cover your ass situation. I mean, that's just so he can say that nothing happened, whatever the case. Then he gets out of his car while the race is still going and cars are going by, and he gets his ass across the track to go meet Larson to show him who's boss, basically, in this situation. And he puts his hands on Larson. Larson clearly pushes himself away and turns away from the situation, doesn't want a confrontation, but Bubba still continues to go after him.
3 times.
Yeah, after this, I mean, okay. Then the NASCAR official, which is doing his job and asking him to get into the vehicle to go to the infield care center in this case, he pushes him away and pushes him across all the way to pit road. Finally, the official walks to get out of his way.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a bad situation.
The guy's off his rocker, man. He's got a big head, and he.
Well, I'm
wrong.
I'm gonna go ahead and change gears here for us for a little bit, and we can still cover this some more with this next topic here. So as we've already alluded to, he's walking his ass across the track to Larson. So let's show the viewers exactly what we're talking about here.
Literally, Bubba Wallace, obviously, exceptionally frustrated. NASCAR trying to get.
So as we see there, Bubba becomes Bubba the Bully.
Bubba the Bully.
And starts pushing around little Kyle Larson, who clearly is nowhere near his size. And, I mean, racing incidents. That's all I'm going to say. There was no need for all this. It wasn't like Kyle came up and doored him or hooked him. It's uncalled for. I think.
Well, go ahead.
Does that look like the actions of a person whose steering broke?
No.
Oh, hell no.
Hell no. That looks like an actions of a guy that couldn't control his race car and went down and took him out. So, but like I said earlier, he's lucky he didn't catch a helmet to his teeth. That's what he's lucky.
I think
Good
if
for-
it had been anybody but Larson, or maybe Christopher Bell, I guess they would have swung back.
I would.
Only thing I've seen Kyle Larson do, and he defends himself, is literally stick his hand out to Bubba's chest, and Bubba just swiped it away. So he got lucky that it wasn't someone like a Tony Stewart who would have just beat the brakes off of you right then and there.
Right now. Yeah,
Well,
for sure.
I said earlier, talking to you guys, I mean, the main thing about this that kind of concerns me is he hooks him. It's a bad situation, okay? The cars are obviously have some safety concerns and issues. We got drivers that are hurt and that are out because of that. Second of all, as the guy that hooked Larson, being Bubba, he walks down to him to confront him. And if you look at the situation that's going on here, Bubba's clearly pissed off. He's going that direction. Larson's taking a little bit of time to get out of this car. He just got doored up against the wall at 160,
Right.
70 mile an hour, maybe a little bit dazed. We don't know if he's hurt. So you're going to go over there and confront him when he's possibly got his bell rung and he's trying to hand the stuff off to the official, which he's not throwing a fit or doing anything to aggravate or cause an issue with the official, or he's not running over to Bubba and starting a fight, wanting to know why I just got hooked right in the middle of the straightaway. Bubba comes over and confronts him, and I'm sure the words were, "What the hell was that for?" I mean, this is just a racing deal. I mean, if this is what it's going to become to, I mean, I'm sure Vince McMahon might be interested in joining NASCAR. I mean, I heard he's looking for a job.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. Crazy.
McCann, you got any words on your thought of the?
We need to hear your calm wisdom. You're like Larson, real calm, collected. Just
I bet I could come over there and push you around, and you wouldn't hit me back.
Whoa, no, hold on. Let's not go that far. But Bubba, I put myself in his shoes, and one of the things as a driver, you learn talent. You learn how to drive the car first, right? And then you have to learn how to turn your emotions off. And I think that is the key to this story, is that and it was probably before he hit the wall. I think he already had his mindset about mid-turn. And because I think we looked at the angle from the front of the cars, looking at the hood of the cars. But if you look at the shot of the trunk of the cars from behind, you can see his angle is not a correct angle of coming off that turn. Mm-mm. So I think from Bubba's perspective, he already had in his mind what he was going to do mid-turn.
If anybody overdrove the corner, it was him. It was him that he just didn't maneuver it right. So anyway.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, you look at it and you can see Harvick back off a little bit, and like Brian says, when you learn racing and even just doing what we do, there's a time and a place to do this.
Yeah. And
I think put myself or Brian or any of us in that situation, and somebody's got a great run in our racing league and saying they're putting that move on you, I see him out of the corner of my eye, I'm backing off. I'm letting him go. I'm tucking back in, regrouping. I know we're not 10 laps from the end, so this ain't going to make a difference. Let me figure out what I'm doing wrong here, and then take a go at him. Besides wadding up all these cars and creating a mess.
If he was smart, if he had the talent that he thinks he has, he could have crossed him up. And it'd have been a different story by the time you got to the next corner. But
yeah, exactly.
He thinks he's got something. I don't know. This guy's on my nerves.
It almost feels like he thinks he's owed something out there in the
right.
track.
And I'm sick. I mean, listen.
You see that in his interviews.
Yeah,
I mean, you do see it. I mean,
I think Bubba Wallace is good for NASCAR, but he's got to get off this "you owe me" trip, man. He just got to get off of it, and what he should is learn how to drive his race car, and we'd be different.
So, and I will say, so I watched the little documentary that they did on Netflix about Bubba Wallace, and it was good. Don't get me wrong. Like, I got on the Bubba Wallace train. Like, I watched that. I was like, oh, yeah, this is good. I like it. I like Bubba. He's, I understand his story.
He's a cool guy.
Yeah. But at the same time, just because, you are who you are in our sport or in this sport doesn't mean you're owed anything. No one out there in the track is owed anything.
You're another race car driver, brother. I mean, that's it. You're another race car driver. So.
Well, and I think this is again, I don't know how personal and how far it goes, but you got to go back and look at the situation, especially in Kyle's deal, streaming or going back to the iRacing incident that put Kyle in a situation. He was out of NASCAR for a year. Kyle comes back in, whips everybody's ass
And
uh,
everything.
in everything. I mean,
Style and
in every
fashion.
in every car, everything. I'm going to speak from experience. Kyle Larson and his family, Janet and Mike, these are very, very good people. Busted their butt for Kyle to have a go kart and be able to go up the ranks that he did. Kyle Larson did that himself, guys. I mean, Kyle Larson did that on talent.
On
Uh,
talent. Right.
the funds weren't there for them to be able to do that to put him through like some of these other guys that have a chance to go and race at the top level. This is a kid that showed up with a helmet bag and a gear bag at Chili Bowl and didn't have a ride and ended up being in a car. It might have been a C-rated car at that time and gave it a go, but he got noticed from that.
Yep.
And being noticed by a guy like Keith Kuhn, stuff like that. I mean, this kid raced sprint cars out there and probably at an age that he wasn't ready for that, but he put wheels to ground into the dirt and put on a show. I hate to see a situation that I feel that a less talented driver is showing his ignorance on the track and going after a guy that busts his ass in several different genres of racing and does have some success in it.
I agree.
Yeah. So I'm going to move us on to the next section here. We're going to speed this up. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go into the Infield Care Center interview that Bubba did. And honestly, all I heard out of that was just a bunch of disrespect. So let's play that for the viewers real quick.
I don't lift, so I know I'm kind of new to running up the front, but I don't lift. So wasn't even in a spot to lift, and he never lifted either, and now we're junk. So.
About the message you wanted to send to Kyle by going up to him after the incident.
He knows that what he did was wrong. He wanted to question what I was doing. He never cleared me, so.
Always unintended consequences when something like this happens. Christopher Bell was a part of that, clearly a Toyota teammate and a playoff driver. Your reaction to that?
Sports.
There you go. Bubba Wallace obviously very upset.
So after watching that video there, I mean, all I see is disrespect out of Bubba.
Arrogant.
Yeah, arrogant.
Disrespect.
Just
Pompous.
like he's owed something. So
New steering box.
But
oh man, yeah, I don't really have much to say on that interview that I haven't already said. I think the guy is completely out of line. I think that somebody should actually go hand him his ass. That's what I think.
Well, I think the fact of it is you listen to it and he acts like he's being over raced or raced too hard. And I think talking to you guys, we talked about this. We watched this move all day long by several different guys. It's the way the track races. I mean, it's just and restarts. If you watch there at the end, I mean, I saw a view coming down the back straightaway going into 3 and 4, and there was probably 4 wide, 3 different rows. I mean, guys everywhere trying to make a move, and that's really where these cars you have to do that because I mean, once you kind of get strung out and you start messing with the air and causing the issues it has there, it's hard to pass.
Yep. Slow down, cross him up, pass him down the next one. Right there, B. McCann.
Yeah, and Bubba said one thing that we hear in iRacing sometimes, and that well, he took it 3 wide. He shouldn't go 3 wide. Have you ever heard that?
Every day.
have you raced with Chris Wally before?
That's one thing I don't understand, man. If you got to run and there's 2 cars in front of you, what's your other option?
I mean, yeah,
you're going 3 wide,
right? And that's racing.
Everybody put up with it. Do what you got to do. You know,
learn how to do it.
Yeah.
So anyway,
all right. Well, I think go ahead, Neil. Go ahead.
I think you're never going to get away from it with this car in this situation. It's just the racing that it is.
Yeah, it definitely is. Well, I think we've beat this dead horse enough. Well,
yep. I'm sure we'll have something to talk about on Tuesday.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I wanted to touch on one last topic outside of this whole debacle, and that is the announcement of retirement for Kurt Busch, or I don't know so much retirement, but stepping away from full-time racing. Just real quick, I just want to get all your all's takes and how y'all feel about that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Neil.
I'll start off with it. I mean, never have been really a big fan of Kurt Busch. In the beginning, just his attitude, the way he approached things, handled situations. a lot like what we're talking about here with Bubba. I mean, it's just going at it the right way. And I can't tell you how much more respect I have for him over the last 2 or 3 years, watching his career play out and him make the changes that he's done, and some of the different things that he's supported outside of racing. Uh, Kurt Busch is one of those guys that came into the sport as a young kid, that basically really just didn't give a shit. He was going to rule it, win races, be that type of guy. And I mean, it's kind of sad to see him go because he's such a talent. I mean, he jumps in whatever he jumps in, and he's winning, and he's successful. I think a lot of what we talk about with Bubba today, having a good car and a car with the chance to win, it all goes back to Kurt Busch. I think him winning earlier in the year at Kansas, figuring this car out, has helped that team tremendously. He's going to be missed in that part, and I wish him the best, man. I really have become a fan the last 2 or 3 years after saying that I had nothing to do with him and didn't want to watch him, even turn the TV on if he was on it.
Yep.
Definitely. Yeah, Brian, what you got?
So I don't know a lot about Kurt Busch and his personality and all that, but I did watch a documentary on him. And when I watched that and listened to him talk, I recognized some of the stuff that he was saying, what he was describing, how he drove the car. I was like, man, he knows how to drive. And I've seen that on the track too, from what he's done over the years. Personality wise, I don't have an opinion on that. I don't know too much, but just talent wise, I believe it's there.
Definitely.
So my take on Kurt Busch is, number one, shame on NASCAR for putting out a product that is hurting their drivers and not fixing it faster. You got guys with potential long-term head injuries that could affect the rest of their lives. So shame on NASCAR for that. As far as Kurt Busch goes, I'm a fan of Kurt Busch. I think that any time that you can come into a sport and go from one end of the spectrum of being a outlaw race car driver to, where I'm going to race you how I want to race you and I'm going to do what it takes to win, to where he's at now as far as an ambassador for the sport for, I don't know who said it, but any team that he's went to, he's made them a better team. So he has done a lot of growth in his career, and I wish him well in his recovery and hope to see him on a racetrack again.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, Brian and Rick, I have to echo what you say about, him going to, all these other teams that he has through his career and just turning them around. You look at Ganassi, SHR, he even helped out there with, getting that. Granted, they had Harvick there too, but, he played a very big role in it. And, when Kurt Busch first started out, he was a cocky driver. I mean, he was young.
He's Kyle Busch.
He was the Kyle Busch of that era until Kyle Busch finally came around, unfortunately. But we'll say that for another time. Yeah. But no, to see Kurt go, it does suck. I hate that. But I'm sure he'll still have his hand, in NASCAR, and he's, from what I understand, he's sticking with 2311 or at least Toyota, as far as helping out with, I don't know if it's driver development or what his actual title will be, but so it's good to see that he'll still have some activity in NASCAR. So it's not like he's going to be completely just off the map like a Carl Edwards or something.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think with that, we're going to close it out here. Run a little over, but that's all right. I'm sure you all won't kill me too much. Yeah.
On that note, it just kind of tying into this deal, I didn't realize, but reading earlier today, he is the final driver to retire that raced with the Dale Senior era drivers.
Yeah, nobody else. There's not another driver on the track that's run with him.
Really?
Nope.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. He is the last of, I don't know what the era is called. I don't know if it's a modern era or current modern era or whatever it's called, but it's kind of interesting to think about that. He is the last driver to retire of the group that actually was racing with Dale Senior from those times.
Crazy, man. Time flies. That's
really
for sure.
does.
So
All right. Well, with that, we are going to call it a show, guys. I appreciate that. Be sure to catch the upcoming podcast episode. We're going to be dropping some really big news for the iRock community, and yeah, just you don't want to miss it. Trust me, it's big. I can't describe it. I really can't. How big it is, but when I found out about it and started going through the motions with it, I've been really excited to finally get this thing going. So check it out on episode 10. Comes out Tuesday morning. Be sure to find it. With that being said, guys, y'all got anything before we close it out?
nope. Josh White, Monday night.
That's right. All right, guys.
About.
All right, we'll see you all later.
See ya.